something wrong with your jaw muscles? Ouch!
They're usually in such good shape.
You're dead! You're right!
Or at least I was. And I was resting pretty darn comfy, too. Take you back to the grave with me. Let's go!
Sit, stay, bad hit, bad hit! Wait till I get...
And who will throw the bidding on this vintage 70s leisure suit? Oh, the disembodied hand at table for how much?
I was in the town square. Where the fuck am I? Recording? Why am I? What's my video? You guys, this is fucking weird. I was just in the town a second ago. It was Halloween day, and there was something about fireflies and magic in the ground, and there was these ghouls, and they were good, but then they went bad, but not like fully bad, but it was still pretty bad. There was like this Edward Scissorhand emo kid, and he died in a furnace, and there was this Ernest Scared Stupid looking coach, and Christopher Lloyd. Actually, where is Christopher Lloyd? He was just here a second ago. He looked like he walked through a pile of ashes. I don't know what happened to him. I thought he got burnt, but I think he was a ghoul, and it was crazy. And now I'm here. But I was watching. That's right, I was watching a movie, but then I got transported to the movie, and I was recording for some reason out here, but, well, must have just been a dream. That's a really, really bad dream. I'm surprised I'm not hungover. Usually that's how I end up in the grass out in the middle of the yard. But wait, I was watching the movie on my phone. I was walking down the sidewalk, and then those headlights came. That semi-truck was blaring its horn, and that guy yelled out the window, and oh no. Oh no. It was supposed to be Curtis Stanko. It was supposed to be that coach's older father. It wasn't supposed to be me. Don't tell me that I'm a ghoul.
Put your hands together, cover your eyes. Getting ready for a big surprise. Spirits in a bottle, ghosts in the machine. Walking on water, floating on a dream. Who's fooling who can you believe?
The Halloween movie you guys all forgot existed. That's right. This movie has been lost in the ether. You know, it's based on an RL Stine story, and even though RL Stine's one of the most popular authors out there, especially kids horror authors, you don't see this movie talked about a lot. And it's a crazy plot for a movie. It's got mild charm to it, and it released back in the beginning of the Y2K era, 2001. And it aired on, I believe, Fox Family Television Network. And this movie is When Good Ghouls Go Bad. And matter of fact, it's free on YouTube if you guys want to go check it out and watch it, so you guys can be in the know. But I'm going to get into the Halloween spirit more by talking about this movie, because again, it's relatively unknown. It's had some coverage, but I feel like it does deserve more attention, maybe some more highlights to it. Do I love the story? You guys will have to see my takes once we get into the actual review. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about When Good Ghouls Go Bad, a TV movie released on Fox Family Television Network back in 2001. Stars Christopher Lloyd, who we all love Christopher Lloyd out there if you guys watch his stuff, and I'm a fan of him. So makes it, worth checking out. And yeah, without further ado, let's talk a little bit about the story, and then I'll get into my positives and my negatives. And it is a doozy of a plot, so just get ready. So the movie opens up with what looks like your typical suburb neighborhood, but it's got a unique thing where Halloween is banned here. Nobody's allowed to celebrate Halloween. It's frowned down upon. There's no decorations. There's nobody even mentioning the name. They treat it like Voldemort. Saying the name will cause a problem. And why is that? Well, the main character, who I believe is named Danny Walker, he's a part of the Walker family who have had a history here in this town. His grandfather, named Uncle Fred, because he's way too hip and way too cool of a grandfather to call a grandfather, so he calls him Uncle Fred. Uncle Fred had basically started up this wonderful candy factory in town that obviously got a lot of attention on Halloween, and he was known for supporting a lot of like local projects and orphanages and artistic visions of different creators in the town. So just overall a really stand-up guy. And what happened was that some years ago there used to be this villainous kid who I believe's name is Curtis Danko. And Curtis Danko, by the way, his name's Curtis Danko. I remember it as Curtis Stanko. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought it was Stanko, but it's Danko. He was this emo kid who looked a lot like Edward Scissorhands, and he was known to be very strange. He was known to be very morbid, into monsters and creatures and Halloween and dark imagery. And when he used to paint these, morbid pictures. And when there was an art project to make a sculpture, he made this sculpture of some figure that basically the coach of this local high school, when he was a kid, had seen and said that the sculpture was so terrifying, so morbid, that he almost got blinded for a few days. That's how terrifying the picture was. And there was an accident that happened with Curtis Danko. He ended up getting trapped in this incinerator machine that you use for sculpting to kind of harden the clay. And he ended up getting trapped in there with this sculpture and became a charcoal skeleton. So unfortunately, Curtis Danko had died back then. But when they had discovered his body, they had seen that in the ashes at the bottom, it was written out by Curtis before he died that he would return whenever the next Halloween would be celebrated. So he'd be like a specter, a ghost, a ghoul, whatever you name it, and he would terrorize and curse the town. So therefore, this town has not celebrated Halloween for 20 years. That's right, for 2 decades, they've not celebrated Halloween at all. And the main character, Danny's father, wants to reopen Uncle Fred's candy factory. He wants to get the candy up and running, and he wants to bring Halloween back because Halloween is what made this town special. It was definitely a part of their culture, and the candy was so successful and brought forth a lot of tourism and local business, and of course, the candy would be the most successful on a holiday like Halloween. So he's got this whole plan where he's going to get some German investors to invest in the candy factory, open it up, and bring back Halloween with this kind of Halloween festival that'll be celebrated locally. That is until the people got second thoughts about that. The town is still stuck in their old ways. They think that celebrating it is a terrible idea because the ghost or ghoul or whatever it may be, specter, wraith, vengeful spirit of Curtis Danko may come back and start cursing them, may cause some people to die or get injured and whatnot. And while the town is thinking that, you have the kids of the town, including the main character Danny, who of course is brand new because him and his dad moved back in his neighborhood. Him, a girl that he meets, I believe named Donna, and the son of the coach, who I forgot his name. Those kids still want to celebrate Halloween and kind of have this illegal Halloween party in this crypt mausoleum place. They want to host like a Halloween bash because they know that the adults are taking away all the fun and festivities over paranoia. So they have to take matters into their own hands and celebrate that way. And the son of the coach, the same coach who had witnessed that horrible sculpture all those years ago, he actually has broken into the crypt of Curtis Danko and has taken that sculpture, and he's willing to do a little bit of a money scheme where he's going to try to force money out of people to pay him to not reveal what the sculpture is, because once he reveals it, people might see a sight that is so horrible, so morbid that they'll lose their eyesight and stuff. So as this happens, the whole back and forth between the town and the Walker family, Uncle Fred ends up going out to this local area where the Halloween festival is supposed to be with the other town members because they suspect that the Walker family had done something. And that something they see is that all these Halloween decorations have been put up all of a sudden overnight, and there's this humongous mound of pumpkins. And they're like, you know what are you guys doing? You know, are you guys trying to get us all killed? Are you trying to curse the town? And the Walker family, Danny, Uncle Fred, and the dad are like, well, we didn't do this. You know, this is not our responsibility. But at the same time, Uncle Fred's super happy to see it all because he remembers the good old days of Halloween. And unfortunately, when Uncle Fred ends up grabbing a pumpkin from the pile to kind of show off to the other people and be like, what are you guys so scared of? Like, nothing's happened. The pumpkin pile ends up falling on him and hits him on the head and ends up killing him. Uncle Fred, yes, Danny's grandpa, ends up dying. And you have Danny mourning over that. He's very upset because Uncle Fred was like his best friend. Again, he was that hip, cool grandpa that they got along. And the dad is, I'm not gonna lie, a horrible dad. He's always busy with work, and he is proud of being an absent father because apparently the Uncle Fred was like that to him when he was a kid. And he thinks that I'm just gonna pass that on to my son Danny. Okay. So Danny's upset by his father not being in his life, not really understanding the value that his grandfather had in his life while his dad's absent. And what ends up happening is that Uncle Fred doesn't stay dead for too long. He comes back as a ghoul. That's right, his zombified body becomes animated. He comes back into Danny's household. Danny freaks out. He's like, Uncle Fred, you just died. How are you alive? Like, you're a zombie. And Uncle Fred's in denial until you get some wild scenes involving his hand, which lets him know, yeah, something may be up. And the Walker family is unsure why this happened to Uncle Fred. There's no real reason for it. But unfortunately, they start finding out what may be the reason because not only are Halloween decorations mysteriously brought up, but now other ghouls and zombies are awakening on the day and night of Halloween. And there might be a figure, a certain Curtis Danko, who may be waking up from his charnel slumber. And now that he's brought back, everybody is on high alert. Everybody is terrified. And it's going to be up to ultimately Uncle Fred, Danny, his best friend Donna, and even the dad and Donna's mom to essentially group together, work together, and figure out a way that they can stop the wrath of Curtis, what malevolent or occult things may be going on during this Halloween night, and a mystery, which ends up getting a twist reveal at the end. And that's essentially the plot without me giving too much away. And it's a crazy plot, so I feel like I got through all the big stuff. So the positives I can give this movie is it's definitely a feel-good movie. It has that charm to it. After you watch it, you just feel warm inside. You know, you have good Halloween atmosphere. There is humor that lands. You know, Christopher Lloyd has some funny lines and funny moments. The absurdity in the humor will just make you laugh out loud at certain points. And again, I think the performance of Lloyd, the other characters, they just do like a charming, you know, Disney Channel original movie kind of vibe to the film itself. Which I think, you know, makes it rewatchable, makes it enjoyable, especially as a family film, which is what it was aimed for. The villain at the end that you see the design, it's eerie. You know, it's not the scariest thing in the world, but it's definitely eerie watching that villain move, especially because they're supposed to be undead. So I wish we could have seen more of that. I wish we could have done more with the villain. But that being said, it still had a creepy appearance. And overall, I think that the movie kind of, I guess, had a decent idea of a story. You know, I kind of like the idea that the story tries to go down. But that's really where my positives end. And then it comes into negatives. And a lot of it is just the movie being messy. There's this whole plot line about how zombies are able to come back on Halloween day and night. And it involves fireflies. And they describe that when fireflies die, their light still glows, and they know this because there was apparently some weird kid in town who used to crush up fireflies and rub like war paint on himself. Okay, and there's magic apparently in these fireflies. You know, the main character, Danny, tries to like logically explain this to Uncle Fred, but Uncle Fred says, no, the fireflies, they have magic in them. That's why they keep glowing even after they die. And that magic will end up seeping into the ground and is stored there as like a wishing power. So anybody who wants to, I guess, wish for their life back after they die, if there's enough firefly magic in the ground, you know, dead firefly energy seeping through, they can revive themselves. It is such a fucking weird plot line, like subplot involving that. Like, it makes no sense. I mean, it literally makes no fucking sense. It's just, I guess, quirky to be quirky. So that whole explanation was just bullshit. It was like, okay, like, you're saying Firefly is gonna help you out, you know, like, out of all things you could have said, you had to choose that as your explanation. It makes zero fucking sense, and it's not really expanded upon to make more sense. The movie is extremely goofy. It's extremely silly. It actually reminds me of a more tame, coherent version of Bone Chillers, the TV show. The Bone Chillers TV show was a lot of random shit and over-the-top absurd humor. This thing goes down that same type of route, but it is more coherent than Bone Chillers, so it's like a more tame version. But doesn't lend for the kids' horror part really well. It's not scary. There's some, I guess, technically morbid scenes, but they're not hyped up to be morbid. They're more so played up to be goofy and absurd. The characters are all kind of caricatures. The only one that really feels like their own type of, I guess, unique characters that are well acted is Brittany Burns, who plays Donna, the best friend, the girl of Danny in the movie. By the way, I saw Brittany Burns as she's older. Hubba people. And then you got Christopher Lloyd, and Christopher Lloyd's awesome. You know, I think he definitely carries the movie. He's got the best performance. And outside of that, all the other characters are just caricatures. The coach is really cringy. He's got a lot of stupid ass lines and behavior. His whole family does. And the twist at the end involving, I guess, something about him, the way he was explaining that part of the story was just, it was really goofy. It was really stupid. It's really stupid. Just when you had to hear him listen, or when you had to listen to him talk about that. Just thinking about it is frying my brain, so that's why I'm having a hard time talking. So yeah, the whole goofy, absurd angle, Bone Chillers type of goofy stuff, I don't really like that stuff. And on top of that, the designs of the monsters are not scary. You know, when you look at Christopher Lloyd, he's just painted in like gray ash. You know, not that creative of a design for a ghoul. The other ghouls look very Beetlejuice-ish, like all types of Tim Burton type of designs. And honestly, that's what a lot of the designs feel like. They feel like Tim Burton choices, which maybe that was the angle, but I don't think it really is needed, especially if it's not being, you know, produced or directed by Tim Burton. So yeah, I didn't really like that choice. It just felt like a rip-off Beetlejuice in a lot of the design features. And the plot is all over the place. You know, it's not really a plot. Like when I was telling you guys about the story, you know, there's this urban legend about Curtis. He died. Somebody knows something that we don't know. You know, it's just a mystery about his death. You know, he cursed Halloween. No one celebrates Halloween. The Walker family has a candy factory. That's why they want Halloween, because they can sell a lot of candy. And Uncle Fred was like the hero of the town. And Uncle Fred dies in a pumpkin crash, but then he wakes up, and then you don't know why Uncle Fred is alive after his death throughout the movie until you get to the end. It keeps going all over the place. You got the coach who wants to run for mayor. So like there's all these different subplots, like several of them going on, which just kind of pulls your attention in like 50 different places. The kids want to throw a party in a crypt. What's the relevance of that? It's just there as a subplot, like them trying to set up this Halloween party. So nothing really gets prime focus. And it's like, okay, if you're not going to give focus to these things, then why go in all these different directions? You know, it just feels like the plot went all over the place. And it could have just been condensed. It could have been simplified. It could have been made scarier. So overall, for those reasons of the movie, I'd have to give it a 6.5 out of 10, which is a low decent. You know, I might bump it up to like a 7 out of 10 or maybe 6.8. It's not going to go above a decent, okay? I like this movie in like a turn off your brain kind of way where you just sit back and enjoy it and you'll feel good after. But overall, It's not a movie that you're gonna like shake a stick at. It's not very impressive. If you compare this to like the new movie Pumpkinhead that came out or Haunting Hours, Don't Think About It, I don't think this thing compares to any of those. And the Goosebumps movies that are made on R.L. Stine stories are way better and stuff. So yeah, this one is turn off your brain, kind of fun, but it's I don't think it's underrated. I don't think it's something that you really got to stick up for. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you guys really love this movie. You love the Disney Channel original movie ripoff kind of charm to it. You like the goofy bone chillers kind of stuff. Maybe that's your jam. If it is, then this is the movie for you. Suggest you go check it out. Again, it's free on YouTube in multiple places. You can watch through this whole thing. And yeah, it's not my top pick, but it's still one I would say go ahead and watch on Halloween, just for the fact that it's free, just for the fact that it is overlooked, and it'll put you in a good mood after you watch it. So that's all I got for today. If you like that review, if you like me covering it, if you like this type of videos and the October content, hit that subscribe button down below, hit that like button on this video, comment down below your thoughts and opinions. Maybe you guys have watched it before, maybe you've not, but now you're gonna check it out. You can let me know your thoughts after. And stay tuned for more October content to come. See you guys back before Halloween and then on Halloween Day for the grand big celebration. Deuces.